Fitness and nutrition is a huge part of my life. I exercise every day. It's something I must do, no matter what. I also meditate every day. I make this a must. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how I came about the idea of meditating every day and why I must do it and why you might want to consider doing it too. Coming up. Aside from fitness, nutrition, and shaping our bodies, which are an outward expression of our inner world, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Your subconscious mind in the universe is intimately engaged in a cosmic dance all the time. We don't see this with our eyes and mind. We see this with our heart. Join me on the spiritual journey and uncover the truth of who you are and remember who you truly are. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. This is Trent from xFit. If you're new to this channel, you might want to consider subscribing so you can be notified when all the new content comes out each week. Alright, I want to talk a little bit about something a little different from what I've been posting or creating. I want to talk about meditation. Now, before you go and change the channel or change the video you're watching, hear me out for a fucking second, okay? If you were to tell me, you know, a year and a half or 2 years ago that meditation would be a huge part of my life and I would make it a must and I would do it every day no matter what, I probably would have looked at you and said, you know, why? Why would I want to do that? Oh, I don't know how to meditate, my mind wanders too much, blah, 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 all different types of excuses. The idea that I would like to express in these next couple videos, this new playlist on mind, body, spirit, a holistic approach or a holism approach where your mind, body, and spirit are a whole. Now I talk a lot about fitness and nutrition. Of course, I've covered so many different things with, you know, pre-workouts, calisthenics, heavyweight resistance, BCAAs, sugar intake, water intake. There's a lot of different things that I've you know, discussed and learned a lot about because that's my passion. My passion is fitness and nutrition. At the same time, understanding the idea that, like I said before, our bodies are just outward expressions of what we believe on the inside. Okay? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience and how I came to have this belief system, this belief structure, and you know how vastly different it was compared to the other parts of my life, other chapters of my life. So most of my life I was very out of shape. When I learned that we are in control of our bodies and we can shape our bodies to be the way that we want. After making a transformation, my life consisted of, or my interests were, you know, lifted Jeeps, six-packs, hanging out at the beach, you know, stuff like that. That was what I was interested in. It was only later where my interests really geared towards spirituality and self-discovery and exploration. So, let's backtrack a little bit. I'll explain to you what happened. It was about 2 years ago, and I experienced something that, after a little bit of research, I found it would be called like a panic attack. I thought I was going crazy. Now, if you're, you know, hip to the idea of anxiety or a panic disorder or something like that, maybe this video will help. So, at this point in my life, everything was very structured. I had a set time where I would exercise, time where I would go to work, time where I would eat, time where I would shower, time where I would go to bed. Everything was on a schedule that I would, you know, do my best to follow, right? One day when I was exercising, I do in-home workouts. I was exercising here at my house in the garage. I finished my workout, and I walk back inside, and I'm just like I always do. I'm taking off my workout gear and kicking off my shoes, and I'm, you know, starting my shower or whatever. And for some reason, as I was kicking off my shoes and taking off my gear, I forgot what I was doing. It was really strange, and I started putting my exercise gear back on. You know, I didn't think of it. I just did it. I just put it back on, and I started walking outside to the garage again, even though I just came in. So I opened the door to the garage, and I see on the ground there are my weights. And all of a sudden, the memory of me working out, you know, just a little bit before, came rushing back in, and I realized I'm not following my set schedule. I forgot where I am. I forgot what I was doing, and I forgot what time it was. Not really a big deal. We might have all had circumstances or scenarios where something like that could have occurred, but this really tripped me up. I lost track of everything that whole day, and then I started to question that whole week, the month, and my whole life. I forgot all of it, and then I remembered all of it, and I remembered different parts. I'll explain that in a few. So now I'm getting nervous, and I'm getting dizzy, and I'm feeling sick to my stomach because I'm disoriented. I go back inside and I go to take a shower. Shower's running, and I'm taking off my clothes, and now I'm getting nervous, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just going to take my post-workout like I always do, and that'll balance me out, or that will set me back to the, ground me to where I am supposed to be, or whatever. And there's a thermos, a protein breaker, with the residue of post in it. So I already had my post-workout shake, and I didn't even realize, I didn't even know. So this is getting weird, and I hop into the shower, and I'm like, the hot water on the shower is going to make me feel better, and I'm going to be grounded, and I'm going to know where I am, and I'll just wash this away, type of thing. It didn't happen. I started to get nervous, and I felt it in my stomach, and then everything started to get black. Everything started to close in, and my knees started to buckle, and I started to get sick. And then I couldn't breathe. I felt it in my chest. I started breathing really heavy. I couldn't catch my breath. I didn't know what was happening. I was having a breakdown. I was having an anxiety attack. I didn't have anything happening in my life at this point that was more anxiety-filled or more pressure than any other chapters in my life. I've been through a lot. We've all been through stuff. We all have different chapters of our lives. Anyway, this particular day, I was falling apart. I was absolutely falling apart. I got out of the shower soaking wet, and I called my girlfriend. And I said to her, I said, hey, something's wrong. She could hear it in my voice. She heard it right away. So she actually hung up and got in her car and drove over to my house. She lives like right down the road. And then she comes and she approaches me when I'm inside. I'm in my towel. She said, look on my face. I'm just scared. I'm scared out of my mind. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I am. She takes me to her house, and she sort of sits with me on her couch in her bedroom there, and she just like rubs my arm. That's all she can really do. She just rubs my arm and just sits there with me. She's awesome. Doreen is her name, and everybody should have one. Everybody should have a Doreen. I love you. All right, so it sort of subsided. I was able to get back home, and I sort of laid down, and I was feeling really on edge. I didn't know what was happening. But, the next day, I carried that anxiety through the next day. This was the catalyst for me really investigating what this was. So checking it out on the computer. Now, I'm not talking about Google fucking Dr. MD or something where they tell you, oh yeah, you got cancer in your brain. Even though that did occur to me, I was like, oh, I have some type of neurological disorder. I'm imbalanced. I'm dying, something like that. The anxiety I carried for the next couple of days, then it would come and then it would go. If I were to rate that night, on a scale of 1 to 10, the anxiety that I felt or the uncertainty or confusion, it would be at a 10. After that point, I was always at like a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Even when I woke up in the morning, I would just feel off. I would feel out of place. It sucked. It absolutely sucked. It was very, very scary. And there were a lot of times that came in the upcoming months, a bunch of months, almost like 8 months, where every week I was just having these breakdowns, and I would do it silently. I wouldn't say anything. She could sometimes tell, and I would express to her a little bit, but I could tell it was worrying her. She didn't know what was happening because we were both helpless to this whole thing that was happening to me. And I've never liked this before. I've never experienced anything like it before, but it was happening now. So I did a little bit of research, and I found anxiety and a panic disorder. All the traits and symptoms of that are exactly what I was experiencing and exactly what I was feeling. So I would reach out to some people, on Facebook, anxiety support groups and stuff like that, and learning a lot. And when I expressed it to people, the few people I would express it to, I was kind of ashamed or embarrassed that this was happening because I wasn't quite sure if it was really a panic or anxiety disorder. I didn't want to have a disorder. I wanted to be healthy, Mr. Fit, Mr. Healthy, Mr. Stability, helping people, spreading the love and light, and the fitness and nutrition. I didn't want to be falling apart. That's not me. That's not health. Fast forward a little while, and this was happening more and more, and it was ruining, my life, honestly. And I kept this in the dark. There were places that I was afraid to go. When I was driving, I was afraid to go down certain roads. This is really psychotic. I was afraid to go down certain roads. I was afraid to go to certain places because I felt like I might have panic attacks there. Yeah, I was afraid to repeat certain patterns in my day. I know, it's totally psychotic. I was afraid so much that I was going to have an anxiety attack. I ended up giving myself anxiety attacks for the fear of having an anxiety attack. Okay? So now that I'm avoiding certain patterns, I was also afraid sometimes to follow the same patterns. In case I started to feel a panic attack coming on, I would want to avert myself from that situation, whether it would be exercising, the thing that I love the most. I love exercising and getting healthy and getting fit. Sometimes when my heart was beating and racing and I'd be exercising, I would lose track of what I've done and where I've been. And this is a weird part. This is a weird thing happening. I would get these memories of things that didn't happen. Now I know you're like, what the fuck? I'm serious. I'm not trying to say I was predicting the future. You know when you have a dream and it seems so vivid, it seems so real, you can swear that could have happened? Was it a dream? Was it a memory? All the time I was experiencing that, and my whole entire life before this was like, I wasn't certain of it. There were times where I was in my house and I would look out the window to make sure my Jeep was in the driveway because I wasn't certain on how I got home. Did I ride my bike or did I take my Jeep or what did I do? I was just constantly confused. I was lost. The memories that I was having, man, I was having memories of communicating with people, emails that I've sent, Facebook interactions. One particular memory that really stood out, which really blew me away, is me, my girlfriend, my son and I were traveling early in the morning, and we took the ferry off the island that we live on, and we go to this deli. And I distinctly remember, telling her about this deli because I've eaten there at lunch, and I'm helping her up the steps, and we get inside and we order our food, and I'm telling her the things that I choose to order, and I'm recommending the things that I feel like she would like to have. And my son he's very, very picky, so I automatically knew what he was going to want to eat. We've never been to that deli. We've never left early in the morning to go somewhere. Those things didn't happen. But I have memories of them. Okay, now, I know it's crazy. I know it's weird. So getting past that, dealing with that for a little while and not really knowing what was happening. One day at work, I was riding home in the van, coming back to my house, and it started to happen again. I started to get unsure. I was losing track of what time it was. I know I was heading to the ferry, but then I was questioning it. Am I heading to the ferry? Where am I going? What time is it? I'm looking at the time, looking at the sun, like how dark is it? And everything started to get dark, black. I started blacking out, and I started to get, nauseous, and my heart felt like it was racing. So I put my hand on my chest to feel my heart racing. It wasn't racing, but I couldn't breathe, and I was like, I'm going to have to pull over or something and, wait this out. And the thought of me pulling over and waiting it out was like, the thought of that was exacerbating it, because it was like once I gave into it, I was giving it more reality in a way. Like I was affirming that this was a serious situation instead of just like waiting it out and moving on to the next thing. So I went onto YouTube on my phone, and one of the things that I used to do was Google, panic attacks and anxiety, and then I would go to YouTube and listen to doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists talk about the idea of anxiety disorders and panic attacks and what can I learn from it, and I would like to hear of other people who had experience with it. That would give me comfort, So I did this, and one of the things that popped up was an anxiety meditation. I got to the ferry line, I put the meditation on, I put my little earbuds in, and I did all the stuff the meditation said. It said, close your eyes, take deep breaths. It was a guided meditation. I did all the silly things that I thought, whatever, and I felt fine afterwards. It just went away, I felt good. The next day, and then the days to come, I would just do those meditations. I would do anxiety relief guided meditations. I did more and more and more, and the panic attacks and the anxiety sort of happening less and less frequent. And instead of having it at a level, 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, like I said before, it was kind of going away. And that was the big reason why I stuck with meditation. So now let's fast forward about a month or two. Meditation has been a huge part of my life. I needed to do it every day. I wanted to. I wasn't suffering from anxiety, but there was something that was calling me to really look inside myself and do meditation. And at that point, instead of doing anxiety guided meditations, I was doing transcendental meditation. I was doing chakra activation meditation. I was doing whatever resonated with me at the moment. I was just doing whatever. Okay, so this is where the things really changed for me. I'm gonna try to wrap this up, and I'll fill you in the rest of it on the next video. But the shift that occurred, I believe this is a shift in consciousness, and I believe that this is happening with people all over the world. And I believe rather, it's accelerating. It's happening to more and more people all over, and the shift is an awareness, something that I did not have before. Like I said, I was really just interested in, six packs and Jeeps and going to the beach and this and that. Everything changed. Everything changed how I saw things, how I interpreted things, how I received things. Okay. I'm sitting on the lawn and I'm getting some sun. It's the summertime, and I'm doing a meditation like I always do. I have my eyes closed, and I'm doing a guided meditation. And then when it was over, I rolled over onto my belly and I looked up, and everything looked different. I was outside, and what I mean by that is everything looked different. Everything felt different. The idea, that we live in a world with insects and birds and bees and plants, trees and grass. We know that trees are alive, right? I always knew they were alive. But being able to receive the energetic frequency of trees just like it was a person. Now let me explain. If you have your back turned, the room that you're in right now, wherever you are, you have your back turned and someone walks in and you're completely fucking silent. Like they don't say anything and they're walking very lightly. They walk in, you can tell there's somebody there. You can pick up when someone is watching you from across the room. You can pick up when someone enters the room. That is an energy frequency. That is something your body is picking up on, your consciousness is picking up, your mind is able to perceive what is happening there. Now, when I rolled over onto my belly to look at the trees, it was the same as people, okay? All the trees, to me, were just as alive as me, as everything, right? All the grass, all the bushes, they were emanating, or they were broadcasting an energy frequency that felt just like people. I felt like I was surrounded in a room of people, and I was in a big open yard. And it took my breath away. I was like, what is happening? I was like, oh, am I having a panic attack? Holy shit. And then this gust of wind came by and moved all the grass like a wave across me and out into the distance. And I realized every blade of grass was alive. Every blade of grass was something that was connected to me, and I was connected to it. And I saw a little bee, a little yellow jacket that was flying around right in front of my face. And then I saw a couple of birds flying to some trees, and that was it. I suddenly had this realization that you're gonna think it's crazy. I am the bee. I am the birds. I am the trees. I'm directly connected to all of the physical reality, of all creation, and so are you. Okay? Everything that we perceive in physical reality is really made by us. Our consciousness is all that there is on a deeper level. To have the experience of being aware that this is happening was shocking. It was fun, but I wasn't quite sure, how to deal with this. I called my girlfriend, I think, and I told her, I was like, look at those trees, aren't they neat? It's just, I think, for me, there was something else happening there. And I got up, and I went over, and I put my hand on the tree. And it's just like if you take your hand and you put it on, somebody's arm, or your own arm. You can feel the energy in it. You can feel the life, okay? Now, my whole life before that, like I would, play play in the woods and break trees and break branches and chop down trees or whatever. I didn't feel that. I didn't feel like there was true life. I knew they were alive. I knew that they, took in, carbon dioxide and emitted oxygen and blah, 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 blah. I didn't know that they were just like us. Okay, now you might be thinking, that's fucking ludicrous. It doesn't work like that. Well, I'm going to tell you that it does. And the only way that you're able to perceive this is if you see it with your heart and not your eyes and not your mind. And the way I was able to get to that, I believe, is with meditation. And I believe that the precursor to my meditation was the panic attacks. I think that it was all an orchestrated thing happening to cause this shift. Perhaps, you might even say that, these panic attacks were part of the awakening process. I mean, I went to the doctor and I had, scans done and blood work done and this and that to see what was happening, because I felt like something was wrong. I felt like I had a neurological disorder, like I had some type of tumor in my brain. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I'm laughing at it now, but it was a very, very scary time in my life, and I'm really grateful that I got through it. So the idea, of awakening or expanded consciousness or expanded awareness, it's not all fucking like fun and games. I mean, it's a destructive process where everything you thought was real comes tearing down, and it's scary. At the same time, it's enlightening, and confronting, to be aware to the fact that we are all connected to everything, and everything, we're all sacred beings of creation. We're all a part of creation. We're all a part of a bigger picture. Think of it like this: there are a trillion cells that are making up your human body, right? There are, a billion human bodies that are making up Earth, our planet Earth. There are millions of planets that are making up star clusters, and then solar systems and universes. We're all connected, and consciously, when you go up the chain there of consciousness, we all come back to the one thing: God, the universe, the source of all creation, the one mastermind. We are all connected to that. We are all aspects. We are all reflections, individual, unique expressions of the one source, the one that is the all, the creation. Now, again, if you were to tell me this a few years ago, I would have been like, "You off your fucking rocker," you really can't take my word for it. You have to really experience this for yourself. So, I'll pick it up again in the next video, but for now, if you've heard my words and you've heard this video, that means there's something inside of you, okay? You contain already what I have just said. The awakening process, the idea that spiritual energy is the foundation for, all creation, and we all have this etheric energy running through us, including the birds and the bees and the trees. The fact that you can perceive this means that you contain it. Everything is energy, everything is vibrating at different frequencies, and you could only perceive what you can match to. So if you heard this video, you contain it as well, and maybe there's a reason for it, maybe there's a purpose for it. Maybe you're struggling with anxiety or panic disorders, or panic disorder yourself. Maybe it's time to change a little bit and get acclimated to the idea that mainstream science and mainstream belief systems aren't necessarily the truth, and the way to actually see the truth is not with your eyes, it's with your heart. Thanks for watching.